away from them that they don't necessarily play too much themselves, particularly things like the Rise, which is a signature pick for Seiken. Vitality.Bee haven't played it at all this tournament. LeBlanc as well, which you've just banned away now. So I feel like, especially on red side, they're very limited by having to ban a lot of these things.
Yeah, and then you start to look at some of the power picks as well, especially with the Veigar taken off the board. It feels like Carmine Corp are kind of looking towards things like the Ahri for that first pick, the Volley Bear, also another strong pick that we can see, but actually going to take the Ahri away here. So looks like they're probably going to ban like the Lee Sin, Jarvan here for on Vitality.Bee, and maybe you end up with the first pick Volley coming through.
You don't have to worry about the mid lane if the mid lane doesn't have any picks left in it.
Yeah, I mean, they are really heavily targeting it. I feel like it's an interesting one from K-Corp. I honestly expected this from Vitality.Bee, but K-Corp, I think they had a lot more room in their bans, and they've opted to go for the Olaf as well, away from Skeens, which, you know, he still has at least Sin to fall back on, so I think Vitality.Bee are fine, but they will go for the LeBlanc, Rise, Jarvan. This is probably their 3 most banned champions across the past couple of series.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Volley Bear as well. So I do feel like Skeens is going to probably fall back towards the Lee Sin. Xayah, probably the other pick that you're going to see picked up here, just such a strong bot laner here for Jeskla, and something that I don't think has a huge amount of answers, but one of the things myself and Ox were actually talking about backstage is that you don't see Jeskla playing the Misfortune a lot, but we have seen Reckless bring out that Misfortune counter pick twice so far, and it could be good here.
Yeah, I feel like picking the Leona obviously gives you priority and an impactful support, but one of the issues is now, you know, with the jungle pool, you kind of have to pick in that jungle on the 3rd pick, which means if K-Corp take a mid here, which I kind of expect, you don't have as much space to answer. And honestly, if Vitality.Bee don't pick up a mid lane in the first 3, we've already seen 4 banned out, the pool can get really thin.
Certainly can. It's going to be the Zeri coming on through, and probably not the Ace-Sol here. But it could be another support to answer. Could be the mid laner themselves. We'll have to see.
I kind of would prefer to see a mid lane pick here. Seiken has gone back towards the Azir, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I think when we saw Seiken on this Azir pick, he did massive damage, but the lack of early control and the lack of ability for Seiken to move into side lanes, I think really hurt Carmine Corp in their quarterfinals. I would have preferred to see something like a Twisted Fate or something along these lines where he has that opportunity to go to side lanes, but this is a big threat in the team fights.
And here's kind of the issue, though, is that they have to pick that Lee Sin up here. It was certainly going to get banned if they left it. You're up against a Volley Bear, but now mid-pool is going to get cut even more. I do agree, though, I feel like the Azir was more of a neutralizer pick. We often saw it picked into the Rise. Interesting for Seiken to be taking the blind.
I'm a little concerned about Diplex here as well. We already set it up as Diplex is going to be one of the key focuses for the side of Vitality.Bee in their quarterfinal. He was definitely one of the key carries for the team. He's going to be running out of picks after the bans. I wouldn't be surprised to see more mid bans after this all.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we see... Well, I think he's still got options, right? I think Silas you can still run. I think he's still got the Vex as well. If you'd really like to, you can do relatively well into those matchups and you should be all right. I think the question, though, is like, how do Vitality.Bee want to try and like come across this, right? Because I do think leaving, like, obviously the counter pick for Shigenda is probably your best bet, but with Nara taken off the board, the Ornn gone now as well, you're kind of looking going, well, what do we actually get in the top lane for Cavalshard? Because maybe he wants to go towards something like the Camille, which I think could work just as a blind pick, but a lot of those mega tanks are going to be gone, and they're the ones that actually ban Camille.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting one. We could even see the Jace come out as a priority for them, something we do often see blinded if they want to put pressure towards it. And you do have the Volley Bear early, who's very good at leaning towards those side lanes. Ultimately, Vitality.Bee, I expect them to be taking the mid laner here and ensuring that Cavalshard doesn't get counterpicked.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of big question here for Cavalshard is like, do you end up just falling back? He's been more of a carry-oriented champion, but I really feel like they're setting up for Sion with the Camille and the Ornn ban, and you're kind of playing towards this big, beefy front line, playing for the team fights, and honestly, I think that can make a certain amount of sense, because I feel like a lot of what Carmine Corp Vitality.Bee is going to come down to is those team fights at neutral objectives.
Well, it's going to be that Vex that you guys talked about locked in for the side of Vitality.Bee, and now K-Corp have to decide how to round out this competition. With a Braum there, you instantly know that with that Azir, with that Braum, they're playing a kite back, they're playing a play safe in these fights.
Yeah, and we see the Graves coming out, which, you know, I definitely think earlier in the split was something we often saw as like a neutral blind. There's definitely things like the Trinity that can punish, but I think Vitality.Bee can really go any direction to answer this. It's not going to have too much pressure on the lane. The Braum's an interesting one. Traditionally, a big counter towards the Leona that can shut it down quite effectively, but it does limit the engage tools on your composition.
Yeah, that's the big one when I look at it, is like, you've got this Braum now, you don't have something like a Leona that can come through, because that's always been taken away. The Nautilus gone. It's like, well, what do you really have left? And Shigenda actually going to go across towards the Gwen, so something I think that struggles a little bit in the early laning phase against the Graves, because you've got that nerf to the range, you're not able to play as aggressive as you used to in that matchup with the nerfs that came through previously, but as the game starts to go on, I think this works perfectly, right? You've got someone who can just play that front line. Graves can't really deal damage. The Zeri, the Azir all will struggle to actually deal damage to Shigenda in these later fights.
Yeah, I feel like the Gwen definitely going to struggle in terms of prio. I feel like mid as well, Azir, once he gets rolling, can really start to establish control. So I think K-Corp, we often see them try and establish an early lead, but I do feel like if they fall behind, they lack some of the tools that maybe Vitality.Bee have in terms of getting the fight rolling.
Yeah, it feels like with K-Corp, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you guys are the brain boxes on the desk. They need to be on the objectives first, right? Without that engaged tool, they need Vitality.
Early upset on this Lee Sin.
All right, well, we're on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of our second semi-final, and it is all French flags at the top of your screen. It's the LFL against the LFL, and this was the matchup we were robbed of in the LFL playoffs as well. Neither of these teams played against each other across the course of the LFL playoffs, and Vitality.Bee, despite being the 4th seed coming into the tournament, actually did better against BDS Academy than what K-Corp did in the LFL playoffs, so they've probably got a bit of a chip on their shoulder coming into this.
And honestly, Vitality.Bee as well, going up against Fnatic Team Crystal, who a lot of people thought were going to be a front runner and a favorite for the Superliga coming in, and frankly demolished them. So definitely looking a lot stronger than their seeding from the LFL implied.
All right, let's talk early game, because already 113 is being aggressive. And let's be honest, 113 being aggressive, not a sentence that's rare here in the Amazon EU Masters. What's the game plan here for 113? How does he get that lead that we were talking about before?
I feel like a lot of what you want to do here for 113 is kind of like facilitate the push that you already have in your lanes, right? So I like the early vision control they're trying to go for, like track Skeens and play for counter gank a lot through your solo lanes, whereas you're still going to struggle a little bit to kind of be more proactive, because even if you look at bot side, right, not a big engaged support, you're kind of relying on hopefully one of the Qs landing from Montera to set something up, but you don't really have anything that can enable 113. So if he's flashless, you don't really have a way into it, especially with no Predator.
And I think critically as well, you could definitely see really powerful counter ganks from this side of KC. You know, you have mobility in the mid lane and the top lane with the dashes they have. You have a bot lane where if you overcommit into them, very much can turn it around. So as much as I think Skeens has better setup in the lanes to gank, I think if 113 tracks him, they should feel comfortable.
See if they're going to be able to track Skeens across the course of this early game. You can see he's pathing up towards that top side, as is 113. So we could have a bit of a collision up in the top side of the map.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to highlight, though, because we're probably going to see 113 going for these ganks, is like the goal difference of 15 that we see coming out from Carmine Corp. Because this team has been absolutely insane when it comes to their lane. You look at like the gold per minute, there's only about 100 gold per minute difference overall between these two teams, Carmine Corp and Vitality.Bee. But when you look at the goal difference of 15, it is monumental. You're looking at about 1,700 goal difference of 15 for Vitality.Bee. You're looking at 4,200 goal difference for Carmine Corp. They are so
not
good
bad, is it?
I know. They are so good at denying their laners, their enemy laners, from getting in and actually getting any sort of CS. And that's why everyone pretty much across the board has these massive CS differences at 15. They're actually top across all lanes. So I think that's why we're kind of seeing this draft from Carmine Corp, where you can play through these lanes and use 113 to facilitate.
And, you know, we're talking about 113 being aggressive, like it to go for these invades, like we're seeing right here. He goes towards the chickens. That's all the more easy when you've got these lanes that like to win. Skeens is going to contest, though. The jungle is just sort of giving each other a bit of side-eye over the chickens. 113 does smite it away in the end, and Seiken covering his jungler. So, nice small win there for K-Corp.
And using the power that you have in your lanes and establishing a bigger lead. That's what we expect to see from K-Corp. And typically it's what we need to see, because your point before, Rob, about how they have a massive goal difference at 15, they feel very comfortable in that position, but later on I feel like Vitality.Bee starts to find the edge in how they play the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Vitality.Bee team fighting just takes on a whole new level comparatively to Carmine Corp. So that's why I'm keeping my eyes on here to see if 113 can facilitate these plays. And looks like he wants to facilitate Cavalshard right now.
Looks like he wants to facilitate a bit of a dive. Shigenda drops the emote. He knows what's coming. Time for the brawl underneath the tower. Shigenda trying to survive. Has no flash, remember, but doesn't seem to be mattering so far. The redive coming on in. 113 not tanking right now. Bit more damage would do it. Cavalshard flashes, though. Clean dive from K-Corp.
Yeah, it looks like we might get some more action boss side.
Oh, Reckless in big trouble. Hantera, though, stacking up the stun onto Skeens, and actually, Skeens is the one taking more damage. Jack Troll finally into the fray. Skeens DPS and trying to burn them down, but Summoner's still available. And it means actually K-Corp saw winning the trade. No, they're not. Skeens goes in, tries to finish it. One more hit, and the feathers fly.
And you know, there's a lot of confidence in K-Corp with the Braum and those tight skirmishes, but ultimately you're in a 2v3. Vitality.Bee bring enough members to find it. And look at the
this. I
Massive
know.
wave.
Oh,
This is so
It's a
painful.
heartbreaker.
I mean, look, you're the AD carry main much.
It
Like, you
hurts.
can see the pain on AD carry's face.
Look at the
when you
CS
see that. It's
difference.
absolutely insane. And this is what I wanted to see from Vitality.Bee, though. It feels like when you look at Vitality.Bee and Carmine Corp, they kind of have opposite sides of the map they like to play towards, and we're seeing it play out right now, right? Carmine Corp very much focused around Cabal Shard, and they do play this wonderfully, right? Wait for the Hollowed Mist to drop on Shigenda, then they get the follow-up. Cabal Shard rightfully blocks, he tanks the wave here, so then he's not in too much trouble. Able to flash out, you don't give us the low health volley bear, and then this was just a great setup from Vitality.Bee on the bot side.
Yeah, critically the difference here is that Reckless doesn't have TP unlike the top lane, where obviously you're able to see the Gwen TP back, and also they stacked a massive wave, so even if they didn't find a successful play here, the minions denied would be huge, but the fact they find Reckless here, recommitting, burning these flashes, and then the Ignite get him low enough where just Jessica can get him down in the end.
And the clutch flash at the end there from Jessica to be able to get that Q in, finish that off. 113 is here, as is Skeens. We might have a bit of a brawl in the bottom side. Jessica moves forward as they found 113, and everybody just jumps on board. Bear forced to flash, but Skeens follows him over, but he's gone too deep. Huntera trying to chase him down, but Skeens dashes out.
I mean, just a nice job from Vitality.Bee. Again, Skeen's the right place, the right time to try and turn around 113, but top side.
I think Shigenda's got himself a solo kill here, unless Cabashon can pull some kind of magic out. He's low HP, but the needles go wide. It doesn't matter, he snipped it off.
And that is really rough to see. We said that Graves would be able to have that priority early. You take it so you can just sort of farm up in the Gwen. If you overstep like that and give her all that gold, it is going to be a disaster later.
Also, when you look at Vitality.Bee, right, like, you've just got, like, your bottom half of the map with an earlier spike, especially with the amount of gold that's been lost to Reckless to that tower. You've now got Shigenda, who's winning it on the top side of the map. When we're talking about these neutral objective fights, when we're talking about these skirmishes that are going to happen post 20 minutes, you're setting up wonderfully as Vitality.Bee for that exact situation.
113 already in another lane. I don't think these junglers want to farm today. They want to brawl. He's just going to be hovering, at least for now. Control ward goes in. That'll be Vision on the side of K-Corp, as they're just going to crash this wave in the bottom side. But so far, pretty good running for the side of Vitality.
100%. And 113 is having to put out fires in the bot lane. They already had that massive CS disadvantage. He's been here twice to try and help Reckless crash, and then we still end up seeing the wave held here to deny some more minions away. And critically, the fact you gank top early and then it gets solo killed, not a fun game to be a jungler in.
And the fact that you're starting this slow freeze now at 7 minutes into the game means it sets up beautifully if you want to start rotating for things like Rift Herald, if you want to start making plays around the map, because you can already see, right, this slow wave starting to accumulate, which is going to make it nigh on impossible for Reckless and Huntera to start playing up towards the top half the map without losing a bunch of gold. And that means Vitality.Bee just get to create even more issues for Karmine.
They're just essentially dictating how the game is going to be played. And you know, we see Reckless still down here. I feel like they're going to have to bring reinforcements, because if we see another wave being stacked into a dive, I feel like you're never going to be back to the game. I mean, look, Jessica is 2 levels up on Reckless right now.
Now, I actually chucked a couple of messages towards Jeskla, towards Vitality, to ask about his thoughts on the matchup up against Reckless, as both Swedish AD carries Reckless a world more experienced than Jeskla. Despite Jeskla being one of the most experienced players in EU Masters, he's against the legend himself, Reckless. And one of the compliments Jeskla paid towards Reckless was how good he is at playing that weak side. Well, he's going to need that weak side experience today, because it feels like Vitality are layering all kinds of pressure down towards the Swedish AD carry.
Still might see more pressure from Carmine Corp down towards this bot side. Not actually going to use that pressure in the bot lane to go for Rift Herald. Instead, Vitality.Bee are going to set up for this first dragon. I actually think that says a lot about both these teams. When you look at like Herald percent for Carmine Corp, you're looking about 55%. When you look across at Vitality.Bee, it's only kind of in the 30%. It's not any crazy high Rift Herald, or at least first Rift Herald percent. So certainly you can see the difference in styles between these two teams.
But you see now that 113 is going for the Herald, and this is going to leave your bot lane isolated. And this tower is low enough that, honestly, you don't need the Herald potentially to take this down.
We're going to see minimum some plates taken, maximum some kills as Jack Troll goes in, schemes on the play, and it's a beautiful kick. The feathers fly through, and Jeskla grabbing that kill credit as well, and many more CS gone. A 20 CS lead in that bottom side.
I mean, how weak can you go, Reckless? It feels like you're kind of been left out to dry here. Vitality.Bee have done such a good job of playing around this strong bot side. Jeskla is going to be huge. Massive gold difference, a ton of turret plates, and when you're able to spike so effectively off of 2 items on this Zaya, these skirmishing and mid-game fights are going to be so terrifying on the side of Vitality.Bee.
And I feel like K-Corp now now need to get massive value out of this Herald, especially if they want Reckless to be relevant. They need to get a lot of gold injected into him, but I feel like it's so hard in this position. There is such a discrepancy between the bot lanes. It's still a 2-level lead, and Jessica's getting closer to having his first item completed.
And again, this comes back to the draft for Carmine Corp, right? We talked about Seiken not having that impact on the Azir. We saw this in their last quarterfinals where he played 2 games of this Azir, wasn't able to get impact on the side lanes, and then they started to fall behind in the early stages. And we're kind of seeing the same play here where Seiken can't have that map impact and the side lanes are struggling.
All right, so let's go over to the side of 113 then. If we're talking junglers, we're talking pressure on the map. Where is this Herald going to go? Where can 113 find that influence? Because we talked lane priority in the mid lane earlier. That got them the invade onto the chickens, but does that still exist? Can they still use that?
I feel like right now you're in a pretty precarious spot because since your bot lane is always vulnerable, you can expect Jack Troll to be able to move first. He's got the level advantage as well over Hantera, so he's bringing that ultimate to skirmishes. I feel like in an ideal world for K-Corp, they counter a play bot lane and then they turn that into a tower take with the Herald, but that is very optimistic thinking. You may end up resorting to having to play a cross-map situation because right now, I mean, look at Reckless's positioning. He just can't even walk up.
Yeah, I mean, checking every bush as he tries to move forward, and that's not the position you want to be in for Carmine Corp, right? You were hoping that you'd be able to snowball through a lot of these lanes, get yourself into a good position, and you can see how low the tower is. You've got next dragon coming up in 2.5 minutes. If Vitality.Bee continue this stranglehold they have on the bottom side, they're getting more neutral objectives in their back pocket. It just feels like right now Carmine Corp, this, as we kind of rightly said, they have the tools to play in lane, but when they start to fall behind, they don't have the tools to kind of bring that back.
Yeah, I think one thing potentially is they could look to use the Herald just before the dragon spawns, right? I think it'll be close to time out there. They could throw it mid and then use that to get a route into the dragon area because as we talked about, they kind of want to be on the objective first and that is quite difficult right now. But Vitality.Bee, they're looking for some plays topside, but a great Scrying Bloom will actually spot them out.
And maybe an opportunity for a turnaround as 113 decides not to go for Jack Troll. Hantera's here as well. They're looking for Shigenda, but with Skeens here, with Jack Troll underneath the tower, I'm not sure they can brute force this play. It looks like 113 will back off in the end.
I mean, you're still losing your bot lane, right? Jeskla still has a ton of control down here. He's just going to be able to get the tower. So the fact that Carmine Corp don't get anything up top side means that they're still losing on the bottom lane. So you're pretty much happy as Vitality.Bee. And I mean, phenomenal job from Jack Troll and Code to just be in the right place.
Shigenda might have stepped the wrong direction on this one as Cabashard will get some damage. Solar Flare through from Jack Troll, but he can't commit to the play. And it's a 1v3 pretty much. Shigenda left out to dry by the rest of Vitality.
Yeah, a bit of an unnecessary overstep there. I honestly feel like the critical thing is when the enemy team has Herald, just stop anything from really happening and let it get to a point where they have to throw it down and not get huge results. But now, him going down means K-Corp have more members on the map. But I still feel like, you know, the ideal world for a first Herald is you get a first tower. Bot lane's nearly gone, and with Reckless recalling, this might just be first tower for Jessica solo.
And crucially, still a minute and 15 seconds till those plates are gone. That would be massive gold for Jessica, as the Herald will be dropped on this top side, but it will not finish the tower. Maybe they can get 4 plates. One more auto from Cabo would just about secure that one. He's going to be near enough to finish those plates off, but now Vitality are going to punish him for it, or at least they'll try. Like, slightly wide on the skill shots, but ultimately, it's a tower for just plates in favor of Vitality.
But this kind of feels a little bit unnecessary for Vitality, right? The death from Shigenda, and then also the fact that we're trying to look for a potential skirmish there. Your bot is winning so hard, I think you don't need to look for an over-aggressive play and potentially throw it away. Ideally, when you're fighting, you want both AD carries there because yours is so much stronger.
Yeah, I agree. You just try to play to your strong side of the map. Now, they will probably reset here and go straight towards this dragon, actually feeding into that strong side of the map, especially when you look, an item and a half already completed for Jeskla. Just as that play was kicking off, he had 5,500 gold already in his back pocket. This Xayah is monstrous, and I just want to see them continue this, right? You already have that bot lane taken, get this dragon, then start to rotate Jeskla around the map, and just continue to make plays around this Xayah.
And Dagda, like, I feel like Vitality.Bee's strategy goes exactly against what you talked about earlier on in the cast, that K-Corp win lanes, K-Corp gets CS advantages. Reckless has been the best farmer in the entire tournament at 10 CS per minute on average. which is an insane statistic, but Jeskla is outstripping him in this game, plus the plates on top of it, and it's because of the way Vitality are playing to set him up.
And again, I think it also comes back to like the setup that we talked about in lanes, right? Skeens has a lot more setup to play around bot lane. Like Jack Troll, Leona, phenomenal engage. You look at Carmine Corp, it's like, from maybe Seiken, maybe a level 6 Cabal Shard, well, you're not going to help him out too much. It just feels like you haven't given yourself the tools as Carmine Corp to set up for those strong lanes. It was more about those counter ganks.
Yeah, I mean, you even found that early gank in the top lane, but ultimately a Graves doesn't have fantastic setup. So it went from, okay, we found a gank to we can't really follow up anymore, and then they had to just play defensive around bot.
So what's the game plan here for K-Corp? Because we can see the Drake being taken for Vitality.Bee, and we saw their 113 like toying with the idea of a play. They're only 1,000 gold down, but it doesn't feel like they have the right to make a play.
Yeah, I don't really agree with 113 kind of sitting watching this dragon being taken. I would have loved to try and see him like work with Cabal Shard here, push in top, and then you can establish vision control, like try and get for that next Rift Herald. Maybe then you can start to crack open some turrets, look to cross map effectively, but it just feels like now, okay, well, Vitality.Bee gets reset. They now get to be in a position where they can actually contest this next Herald, and they've even moved Jeskla up to the top side. So again, they're playing towards their strengths.
And I think one of the things is typically when you see a team behind, a great thing you can do is look for numbers advantages, right? And look for picks and fast engages. Isn't as many tools for K-Corp, so they are going to try and get set up on this Herald initially, but Vitality.Bee look like they're going to respond.
K-Corp do want to fight for this one, and that's another spike. That's twice now. 113 managing to grab those chickens away, but ultimately still 20 CS down, so it's not really something to write home about just yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's trying to establish, but again, it just feels like Vitality.Bee are in a phenomenal spot here, and as we said, Jeskla pushes to the top. Now they get to contest this Rift Herald, and you know, Reckless has basically been left on his lonesome in the bot lane, going, hey, please, can I please get some CS? And Shigenda's like, no, you can't.
Reckless takes a third of his HP for nothing. 113 goes in. Here's the play. Feathers come out. Skeen's going to play safe, trying to protect Jack Troll here. The Feathers can come back, and there goes the bear. Vitality pull the trigger and blow K-Corp apart. Skeens with a cheeky little flash kick on top of everything else. There's a bonus little kill. Skeens gets the triumph, and it's a triumph in more ways than one.
And I just don't see a window where K-Corp are going to win that. They just funnel into a choke against the Xayah. The Feathers come down, the resets are there for the Vex, and this is just icing on the cake for Vitality.Bee.
And look, I think this is why myself and a lot of the analysts have been kind of saying, look, we think Vitality.Bee are just a stronger team. When you come to these skirmishes, when you come to the ability to play the map, it feels like Vitality.Bee have been so good at getting these leads. And look how long Jeskla holds off on these Feathers. It means that he ends up getting so many people with that, and it means that Vitality.Bee are just able to pounce. You have the numbers advantage, you have the gold advantage, you have the summoner spells as well there for Skeens to get the kickback onto Cabal Shard. It all comes up trumps for Vitality.Bee.
Triumph literally in the last split second before the tower shot hits. Skeens looking good on the Lee Sin today, has to be said, consistently finding these kick flashes and setting his team up for success. And now with a Herald as well, they can start to build the momentum, and that's been the big criticism of Vitality.Bee across the tournament, right? In the mid game, sometimes they slow down a little bit. I'm not sure we're going to be seeing much slowing down as K-Corp try to move in, but looks like Vitality will just grab this Herald. What do we want to see? How do they close this game out in a good fashion?
Well, I think grabbing mid-tier 1 for the second Herald is definitely how you want to use it. An ideal time is in 2 minutes when you have the next dragon spawning. You can throw it down there, get that big charge onto it, lower it down, or potentially take it, and then you move into the dragon, and at that point, you're on soul point, and you're in a really comfortable position. Vitality.Bee, they should just be clean sailing.
Yeah, especially when we look at like a conversation we had earlier on, right? Was like Carmine Corp needing to set up on these objectives early. They have a front line with 113 and Antera that very much needs you to be in front of them so they can kind of defend their flanks. But if Vitality.Bee are able to set up like Shigenda coming in at one angle, a Diplex coming in with another, this becomes incredibly difficult for Carmine Corp to actually deal with the amount of flank opportunities that Vitality.Bee have.
Especially if you don't have vision control in the area, you start to push in, instantly you feel the lack of vision around, and it starts to almost collapse on you, and
it's
that's where the Gwen and the Vex
feels like a Nocturne's in the game all of a sudden. It's just darkness everywhere. Yeah, it's a tough one, and I have to say, Vitality, they're coming out the gates today, right? 2,000 gold lead as we broach the 20-minute mark here. A minute until that Drake that we've just been talking about, and that's got to feel good when this is a team that Vitality.Bee didn't get to play in the LFL playoffs, managed to get a higher seed than them after they both lost to the same team anyway. It feels like A little bit of revenge to start the day off for Vitality.
You need to start messaging people. I have a formal complaint. This is not how I wanted this to go. Please look at these games.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the seeding doesn't matter here at the Amazon EU Masters. So long as you win your games, you'll go forward in the tournament. LDLC certainly winning their games on the other side. So you got to look good today. Whoever wins up against LDLC, you're going to have your work cut out in the final. So it's Vitality.Bee with the advantage so far. 20 seconds till this Drake. Are we going to see a contest?
I mean, I think they're going to contest. I don't think they should, though. I mean, in this position, right? Like, zero vision control. Again, those flank angles all being set up for diplex. Like, thank you, observers. Like, look how dark this river is. Like, how do you try and move in here as Carmine Corp when you've just got so many angles of attack here for Vitality.Bee?
It's so scary, and all it needs is like one Vexel from the Fog of War to clip someone, and that can just be it. So they opt not to move in, which I think is the right call. But there's not really much they can do because they brought all their members down to fish for the potential opportunity, and you get nothing from it, and then you don't end up trading across the map.
And this is one of the big criticisms that I've actually had of Carmine Corp is their inability to play side lanes and inability to play the map. Oftentimes they kind of go, hey, we're going to win through the sheer power of our lanes, and then we're going to brute force team fight, and look to beat you that way. But when it actually comes down to like situations like this where, hey, look, maybe you can look to cross map. We get vision control in like top side of Vitality.Bee's jungle. Maybe you can put pressure for the tier 2. We never really see that, and I think it's coming back to bite Carmine Corp here, where they don't feel comfortable taking fights, but they don't really know what they should be doing on the map instead of just sitting at this dragon.
Yeah, just to wrap that up, if it's a win lane team, they don't win lane. What you doing?
Yeah, I think we've all seen Invictus Gaming. We all know what happens when they don't win lane. Although, to be honest, it's not really true anymore. I digress. We don't need to talk about IG. It's just a fun topic, is all. 113 wants to steal another camp as he moves in. Skeen's just going to back away with this red buff. He'd love to give this over to Jeskler, and he will be able to do so in the end. 113 tries to go for the chickens. This time around, it doesn't work. Skeens, he's going to be eaten tonight.
And actually, you can see Sagenda got prior in the bot lane, has moved up here, so K-Corp have to completely disengage. Vitality.Bee are going to be able to push in up to the mid tier 2, and then after that, sweep across this side of the map and contest the vision.
All right, ult forced out for 113. It's a trade of ult support for jungle, but ultimately it's just Vitality.Bee bruisering their way forward, right? Just taking complete control. And now that Baron area, no vision for the side of K-Corp. Aside from one little ward that's behind enemy territory there, so maybe a TP angle, maybe some kind of miracle play can be there for K-Corp.
I mean, it feels like it right now. You need something that has to happen. And look, you do have some good late game scaling, right? Like, if you can draw at this game, let's say, can get to a later point, Reckless get to a later point, you do actually have some options to try and fight back. It just feels so hard to do so right now. And that's not even taking into account, like, Shigenda scaling as well. So you do definitely feel the pinch here for Carmine Corp, but maybe some miracle play with a Seiken swoop and boop could be it, but it just feels so hard to do.
I think one of the painful things as well, for anyone that missed the start of this game, like, you look at the difference between the AD carries and you think, oh, you know, Jessica's a bit ahead. That's not... not an ideal kick from Skeens there as Cabashot now trying to get under the tower. I thought Vitality.Bee were just going to commit anyway. Cabashot uses his flash, and that'll be all that's burnt as the rest of the team pinging their way over. 113 moving over as well, but Jack Troll and Jeskler going to try and cut off the retreat. Jack Troll... the sun was in his eyes. The sun was in his eyes.
Hey, it was a 50-50. He's going one way or the other. And he ended up picking wrong. But ultimately, I mean, off the back of the play, ult burn for Vitality.Bee's top and jungle, but it's a flash burn for Cabashot, something he now won't have for that next dragon fight. So a little bit unfortunate for him. But ultimately, I feel like flash for Graves isn't the prime thing. A lot of summoners still available across the board. And I feel like 2 minutes, we have the Cloud Soul. I don't think it's the most impactful soul for the roster that Vitality.Bee have, but still, the question will be, do K-Corp feel like they have to contest this one?
I mean, personally, I think you kind of just back away from it. I think, again, trying to play towards sides, like, set up for a potential Baron. Like, Carmine Corp have a reasonably fast Baron with the composition that they have as well. So I think if you can try and trade position on the map, that would probably be your best bet.
Potentially, if you get Vitality.Bee to funnel in to contest the Baron,
yeah,
that's where you could see K-Corp not necessarily taking a fight they'll win, but giving themselves the best odds as possible at this current state in the game.
I have to say, gents, I'm listening to you guys converse about how this game goes, and, you know, the gold is not that dramatic of a lead. Like, 3,000 is still a comfortable lead for Vitality with the Drakes as well. but I feel like it's all very negative conversation for K-Corp. Like, is this just a draft difference? Is this just one of those games where this draft isn't going to work?
It's more so about like when the power spikes are for me. Like you look at the Eclipse and the Muramana already complete for Jeskla, crazy strong Void Staff now coming in for Diplex. He's hit a really strong spot. It feels like you've got the majority of Vitality.Bee online, raring to go, and they've got the next dragon coming up, and it feels like they're going to be quite strong for the next 10 minutes, let's say, where you've got maybe like an Elder Dragon now on the board, which is going to cause even more issues. You're still waiting on that for Carmine Corp because Reckless is behind, and you've got this Azir that needs a third item to really be relevant.
Do you see them looking to try and contest his vision? And honestly doing a decent job of it.
1-1-3, he dodges everything, just running around the pit, has his flash available if he needs to use it. That's a fear though. Everfrost goes slightly wide. 1-1-3 does not want to leave. He finally commits to getting out of the pit.
Big gone though, right? And Dragons in 15 seconds, you're not getting that back.
And exactly, Volibear, not exactly the tankiest of members either. So the fact you don't have that engage to it plus the extra health it provides is actually going to be a bit of a problem here for 1-1-3.
Kavachar could be in trouble on this one, but look at the damage he's popping out. His Skins goes under the tower, but he's not going to be tanking. That's the wrong tower. My brain just exploded on that one. Skins almost went down though. K-Corp with a man disadvantage now, but health bars to work with.
Yeah, no Gromp up though. That'd be ideal if he's able to heal off. You can see he's even waiting there. It's spawning now, so they're going to try and stall out. He can heal a massive amount of Gromp. You can see they even smite it. Suddenly he's in full HP again, and he can rejoin. How broken is Gromp, by the way?
On Gromp, dude. On Gromp right here. Skins, though, few seconds until that smite's back up, but he had 2 charges, so he's okay on this one. Remember, this is Soul. If Vitality.Bee can grab it for themselves, Jessica has the feathers to burst it, but in goes Diplex to buy space. 1-1-3, forced away. In goes Jack Troll, but immediately bursts down. Reckless firing away, trying to build the stacks in the meantime. Pantera backs off on a TP. K-Corp now want to push forwards, but they don't really have any way to force a fight.
Yeah, I think Vitality.Bee started chasing, kind of realized, no, this isn't the best plan into their composition. Jack Troll a little bit too fast on the trigger finger there, but ultimately Vitality.Bee got what they wanted.
Yeah, it was a ton of damage on the Jack Troll. Didn't even get the Aegis of the Legion off either. And you can see here, Skeens just manages to chase down Cabalshar with Shigenda, but look how much is invested here, right? You get both Shigenda's ult and Skeen's ult for the next ensuing fight, so 2 big tools used by the Gwen and the Lee Sin. And as we start to fast forward this one, a great engage from Diplex. You do get the fear, but Jack Troll already super low, just gets completely burst out. It means that you can't follow up, but now 1-1-3.
Oh no, that's not where you want to be. 1-1-3, he's going to get kicked back, he's going to get finished off. It's an easy kill for Jeskla, and with a jungler down and Baron on the map, and already the lead for Vitality.Bee. Cabashard, Skeens warthogs to get close to Cabashard, but takes a lot of damage for his trouble. Will be forced away. Solar Flare goes slightly wide. Shigenda trying to get the needle work in, but can't quite find his targets. It's still control though for Vitality, and that's been the name of every single fight.
And it feels like they're about to go over and start baiting this Baron, seeing if they can draw Carmine Corp in, and with the amount of zone control that you have here, they could look to just re-engage this, but it looks like Vitality.Bee going to just back away instead, not going to try and take the fight against Carmine Corp.
Yeah, I think still precarious, right? The carries are starting to come online for Karmine Corp, particularly this year, close to Rabadons, but we saw how much damage the Graves is doing now. The goal lead that was more significant early isn't as relevant now, so Vitality.Bee, they're still in a very good spot, they're still in control, but you can definitely see they're being measured with it. They don't want to overstep.
So we'll see if Vitality.Bee can keep this gold lead going. But one thing I do want to mention is that these two teams have the highest kills per game, like the average kills every game of the entire tournament, right? K-Corp in first place, Vitality.Bee in second place. But I don't feel like this has been a very high kill game just yet.
Yeah, well, the reason that we see these high average kills per game is generally because, especially for Vitality.Bee, they kind of struggle to close out games. They oftentimes end up using these neutral objectives to find fights, so they have one of the highest average game times as well, which is why Vitality.Bee haven't really got a foothold where Karmine Corp they can take them down.
Shigenda going to use his needlework. He'll be okay. Uses the Ghost. Oh, actually, he didn't even use Ghost.
It's a Cloud Soul.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah, it's actually really nice.
Just moves the speed of light.
Yeah, I mean, you see Gwen's wanting to take Ghost anyway, and you get the advantage. I feel like he's probably the biggest beneficiary of it all.
That's going to be a root coming down onto Hantera. In goes Skeens. Hantera's tanky, but not tanky enough. And Reckless just doesn't have the damage to return it just yet. Almost 300 CS though. After that terrible early game, after being bodied in the early game, look at Reckless's CS. He's still on 10 per minute.
Yeah, they've just given him every wave across the bot lane to make sure they could get back into this game, but can he now carry the ensuing fight?
Critically, no support, so no wards to throw down. This is super scary for K-Corp to approach, but they have to try.
113's moving on over 5k on the Baron. 113 has to make a miracle happen for K-Corp here, but it's just going to be a burst from Vitality.Bee. No, 1,600 remaining. That's real low. Into the pit they go, and it's 113 with the steal. They get a bonus kill onto Jack Troll as well, but now Cabashard low. Skeens just gets out with his life. K-Corp have somehow found a window.
Why did they leave? Vitality.Bee take it down to about 1,500 health, and they're like, you know what, lads, here it is on a silver platter. Like, why do you leave?
Man, helping out the other NFL team with that one. Like, do you want a Baron, guys? They got it so low. I think if you're scared about the steal, you back off far sooner, right? They left it just way too late, and it's a good initial pick coming out. The extra gold for Vitality.Bee just means they can burst to Braum far quicker than the enemy team can burst to Leona. But then it's this play, and it's like, you know, if you're gonna back off 3k HP, I feel like that's like a safe number.
Yeah, but it's also like kind of a miscommunication, right? Diplex is looking for the pick. He wants to try and go in. You got the rest of the Vitality.Bee DPS, and it's like, take your pick. What one do you want? Jack Troll misses with the Zenith blade, and now 113, like, it's just totally fine here. You even have to kick there for the Lee Sin if you want.
He doesn't even have smite.
I mean,
they don't even have smite.
Oh my god, this is, and the fact that Skeens is completely out of the picture
That's
here.
An auto attack.
91 HP, like,
oh no.
113 doesn't even nail the smite.
I mean, look, with enemies like these, who needs friends? You know, That's all I'm saying. 9-4, it's so for Vitality.Bee, but K-Corp find themselves a miracle Baron. Now Diplex, maybe gonna go for a play onto 113. It will just be KC backing off once more.
So remember you asked, you know, how did Carmine Corp get back into the game? I feel like we kind of found it, because a minute now until the Elder Dragon.
I don't think you can plan for that.
Look, executed to perfection, planned to a T. This is exactly what Carmine Corp, they knew exactly where Vitality.Bee were themselves.
And now with the Baron buff, so easy for them to get mid-push, and we talked, I think they're going to put the tower down here as well, how important it was for K-Corp to be in the objective first. With that tower in place with the Baron buff, they should be able to get in the river and set up control.
Look at the bot side of the map, though. We've got the sneaky agents in the backline, Skeens and Shigenda. See if they can hide out and maybe get a flank here. Hantera, though, starting to ward up the sides, making sure that he can spot out for Skeens.
Skeens wants to try and find the flank. Cabashard could be a target, but not going to commit to this one. 15 seconds on this Elder Dragon. Vitality.Bee need this objective to clinch the win that they've all but earned until that Baron play. Skeens and Shigenda off on the backside once more. Feels like KC, though, they're buying themselves space.
I mean, a lot of space being bought here, and again, that really good ward from Hantera making such a difference. Now, though, Jeskla starting up the Elder.
Yeah, critically, the fact they're constantly fighting to stop this flank from happening makes such a big difference. K-Corp in a comfortable spot to push up here.
Here we go. The Elder Dragon will reset on this one. Skeens backs off to his team. Both teams so nervous to go for this Elder Dragon. They don't want to flip it, but they might just have to. It might have to be that 5v5 we've all been waiting for. 32 minutes on the clock. It's Q out from Skeens, but won't follow up for now.
Diplex doesn't really feel comfortable to look for the flank, which means you're getting this front to back from Vitality.Bee. It's like Shigenda goes in, then he comes out. Skeens goes in, Skeens comes out.
Guys.
Diplex is still kind of going like, are we playing musical chairs yet? What's the story?
Jack Troll forced to flash away. Solar Flare came out as well. But he will get out with his life, and we return to the dance.
The minion waves will eventually end if they keep staying on the dragon. Given enough time.
It's possible. KC on the Baron. Skeens down to half of his HP as Shigenda trying to move on over once more. Jack Troll is nowhere near right now. He's in the base. He's trying to move his way over. As Shigenda just going to go 1v5. Going to try and force the play. Diplex uses his Shadow Surge. He's not going to follow up, at least for now. Shigenda has to turn golden. They've bought space. They've bought time. Jack Troll returning to the team. and we disengage one shot.
my lord.
This is the longest non-fight I've ever seen.
I mean, look, we said that these neutral objective fights were going to be make or break, but, you know, I thought they'd maybe break one side a little bit faster.
People are resetting. They're just like, oh, do you want to take a break? Yeah, go back to base.
Yeah.
That's
Get some
orange.
Gentlemen's agreement. They all shake hands. This is like Christmas Day in World War II. They all came out of the trenches and played a game of footy in the middle. Let's just have a ceasefire for a moment. Everyone reset. Let's start this one again.
Madness. Absolute madness.
Incredible.
I mean, look, you go back, you get the oranges, you resuit and boot yourselves, and you go again. But, I mean, a lot of what you look at the wave states is like Vitality.Bee now getting that slow push that's happening on the top side of the map. You got this wave they can play with in bot, a little bit of priority for them in the mid lane as well. But, again, kind of the lines have been drawn for Vitality.Bee in the river. But now it's Vitality.Bee who are getting into the river first, starting to deny that space from Carmine Corp. And now it starts to play into the hands of Vitality.Bee that little bit more.
And critically as well, though, vision will be reset, right? You'll get all your wards back, which means that, once again, you saw the fight Vitality.Bee had to try and clear out the vision on the flanks. They're going to have to go through that whole song and dance again. It really was a song and dance.
I'm ready.
It wasn't a song and dance, it was a whole damn musical. As Jack Troll going to try and force the fight. Solo player down, Camshot low. It's going to be 1-1-3 with his ult, and will be KC backing away. But remember, this is how their comp likes to work. They want to count back.
Good call from Carmine Corp as well, because with you getting in that front line, the damage that's going to be coming through from that needlework is going to be insane. Same with the feathers. So good call to kind of go, this is not a corridor that we want to fight in.
And critically, look at the ults on both teams. There is so many still available for the side of K-Corp, and so few for Vitality.Bee.
Shigenda on the flank, though. No needlework, but he can still do work on that Gwen. Just his scissors alone. And he's going to go straight for Terra. That's just going to be massive damage onto the Pro. 1-1-3. Now going on to Shigenda. As the rest of Vitality need to move over. They need to help their top lane. The Scheme's trying to do what he can, but he actually managed to get out with his life. 1 HP, barely surviving, but survive they do. And Elder resets once more.
It's going to happen again. This is where we go through. Reset for Dragon.
Guys, got a timeout, got a timeout.
Don't worry, TPs are coming through shortly. We can reset in about another 2 minutes.
TP to the bottom lane here from Diplex as he returns to the play. I'm amazed nobody has visited a side lane in about 2 days at this
What
stage.
do you call this? Like, if ARAM is the mid lane, like, are we just all in river, all random, all river?
Drag ram? I don't know.
I like drag ram.
Here we go, 6k on the Elder. Looks like Vitality might actually commit now. Shadow Surge goes out. Is Diplex gonna pull the trigger? It's on to 1-1-3. The answer is no. 4k on the Elder. Will they actually pull the trigger on this one? Diplex gets the fear. The rest of Vitality jump in. Health bars are low though. There's one. Forsaken. Dragon low. Cabashon on the Elder. Jeskla flashing out. Saken low on HP. Schemes will fall.
Are you
K-Corp.
for real?
They did it.
For real? This is how this ends.
Shut down.
Just about.
K-Corp, against all odds, somehow, finally, get themselves the Elder. It feels like Vitality forgot that they were fighting over the Elder in the first place.
Yeah, I love Kamashar just sitting there soloing it out. Oh. I don't know. There's no words for this. There's honestly no words.
This has been a game. This has definitely been a game of League of Legends. The longest scrap over Elder I have ever seen in my life. That was like 5-6 minutes, like just of nothing but Elder.
If they just killed it, it would have respawned by the end of it.
It's the same thing again, right? Like, Vitality.Bee get this dragon far too low, then they look for the fight. But the problem is, as you said, like, Cabalshard's just sitting in the back line. Jeska, the only one that kind of has his head on his shoulders to go, maybe I can get it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the fact that goes over is insane. Now you can see they're going to get Baron. Like,
and look how low both teams' health bars were at the end. It was so obvious that anyone who got Elder just wins.
yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest. After watching LDLC yesterday, and now watching the way these two teams are interacting around Elder Dragon, I'm real scared for whoever has to go up against LDLC.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't add to that.
that was incredible.
But
I
hopefully,
can't wait to see this on Twitter and
Look,
like air all the analyst desk later. You know,
at the end of the day, right? This is only game one. We've got a whole best of 5 ahead of us. It's a bit of a warm up. We have to have a bit of a warm up for the cast test. The players have to have a bit of a warm up. KC crucially coming out on top of all of the Elder Dragon shenanigans. They've now got a Baron as well. That's their second Baron of the game. Has to be said. You know, the Drakes, Vitality.Bee did a great job until Elder. But when it comes to these game-ending neutral Trolls, it's not look good for them.
And I think now things are a bit tricky for Vitality.Bee, not just because of the buffs, but also the defensive items coming in. Witsend on Reckless, Seiken has the Zhonya's and the Banshee, Cavichard with the more, and they're just pushing up mid.
Yeah, Jessica low on HP, already using the ult. Skeens behind enemy lines, kicks Seiken into the team, but he turns gold and keeps himself safe. KC staying grouped to Jack Troll, just gets one shot. Cavichard now going to chase away Skeens. The dot is ticking, but he will survive. Seiken got out. Feels like everything's going wrong for Vitality.
I mean, yeah, it ain't looking pretty right now for Vitality. Elder Dragon's still available. TP's coming through. Skeens has been chased by Cap. Do not take that.
He's going to go. His mind is telling him no. But his body is also saying no. Apparently, he goes for the recall.
I mean, look, it's for the best, right? At least, though, because you don't have Cabo in the base, Vitality have actually held on to this. So despite they lost Elder, despite they lost Baron, they haven't really lost too much, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think part of his K-Corp, you know, really just true to this game, ignoring the side lanes and being like, we're going to end through mid, which is kind of hard to do, so we'll back away in the end. And now Elder buff timed out. Baron has got about a minute left, but, you know, this is a reprieve for Vitality.Bee.
Hilariously, we talked about how the fact that these two teams have really, really long average game times, really, really high average kills per game. I feel like the game time thing has come true, but the way that this game has happened has meant we've just been toying with the idea of team fights for the last 30 minutes, basically. It's kind of insane to see how it's all panned
But that's the thing, right? We actually said for Carmine Corp, if they can stall out this game, I mean, they're in a great spot. Ox already kind of hit on it, but you're looking at, like, Rabadon's now for the Azir. He's very much going towards that Void Staff now. He'll be full build in a moment. You nearly have Reckless at the same point. So, like, this is Lethality Xayah, the spikes in the mid game, not going to be as relevant. Diplex as well, because he's gone for the Everfrost, not going to be able to do as much damage. This is where you actually start to see the carries for Carmine Corp be able to take over in these fights.
And ultimately as well for Sagenda, it's quite difficult actually for the Gwen to play in these team fights. You see often like charges forwards to try and make an impact, but there's so many tools to kind of dissuade him. The Braum stun, the Shurima shuffle, just being able to push him away, and there's a lot of DPS that gets thrown down onto him. He seems a lot squishier than you typically expect to see from a Gwen.
Especially with the Banshee's Veil and the Zhonya's, like, you'd imagine he'd be able to, but it just feels like Vitality.Bee haven't been able to find these flanks. And talking about Terra's Warning, I think that's been the big issue for them, is just not being able to get multiple different angles of attack, and Carmine Corp have been able to hold their defense.
So my question then is, for Vitality.Bee, how did they win one of these fights? Because like you're saying, it feels like KC have now got to this position where they can't kite back, they can just DPS people as they come in. Like, does it just have to be one big coordinated dive together?
You need backline access, right? It doesn't have to be everyone together, but you have to get enough people on the pivotal targets, blow them up, and then clean up the fight from there. Because I think if it goes in a front to back, you're just never winning.
Vitality, Skeens play with fire on that one, but he dashes out just in time, doesn't actually take any damage in the end. As Jessica actually having a great game for himself, right? When you look at the numbers, when you look at the item build, like, he's been doing pretty great. Unfortunately, not been able to transition that into much in these fights, and that's half of Jack Troll's HP gone. I feel like this Graves from Cavichard, he's just ulting for poke on cooldown, and it's working.
I have some news.
Yeah, I see it as
Elder
well.
is spawning shortly.
I don't.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well,
He's got popcorn. Has anyone got any snacks?
I can go put some on. We have time.
True, yeah.
let me just text LEC Production, see if we can get some snacks on the desk. We'll have to see how this next one's gonna go. Okay, right. So, you know, we're laughing about it. Oh, hang on. Do we have a fight? Shigenda and Cavichard just gonna high five in the river and back away. Okay, we've got Elder coming up. What were they doing wrong last time? What can they do right this time?
So I feel like a lot of it is kind of, oh, hang on.
Oh, Shigenda and Reckless in a 1v1. And somehow Reckless is winning this one against the top laner. I guess they're both level 18, but will just result in not a lot again.
Critical thing though, Ghost Beard now not going to be available for that fight. Ult does come up really fast. I mean, look at the ult, how quickly the cooldown's coming up, so that's no biggie. But Sagenda down a tool, definitely optimal, and ult are looking for an engage.
1-1-3 does dodge away from the Q, but not from the Zenith Blade. Jack Troll trying to get onto the enemy jungler. He's kind of separated though. Diplex needs to move over and save his support. Jack Troll in huge trouble. In with the Shadow Surge. Diplex jump in on. It's going to be Reckless taken down. And Staken kicked by Cleans himself. It's going to be a win for Vitality.Bee. After all of that rigmarole, they somehow find the fight.
That was huge from Vitality.Bee. It looks messy. It looks a little bit scrappy. But Skeens with their kick saves it all. Of Vitality.Bee, they may have just done it.
But Cavichard just cleared a lot of the wave. You can try and stall for time. They need to kill that cannon.
Certainly do. 1-1-3 jumping in, actually going for the cannon, but there's still a melee minion. And Cabashard buying time, buying space, but the minions are surviving for long enough. And after 43 minutes, Vitality.Bee take game 1.
They found the fight, but I cannot believe they came back in the game after losing out on the Elder.